This is Conversations at the Well, a monthly podcast that invites you to listen to ideas and stories that will refresh and challenge. It doesn't matter what state you are in. When you come to the well, you will always leave inspired and renewed. Let's listen to today's conversation, hosted by Bishop Roy.
My brother Claion, greetings. It is such a joy to have you on Conversations at the Well. I know the springs of water will be flowing today as we have this conversation. My brother Claion, I don't know how to refer to you, whether as an Englishman or a Jamaican. Tell me about you, Claion.
Ah, well, first of all, glad to be at the well. Um, Trust me, my soul needs some refreshing, and I'm
Don't
sure
we all? Don't we all?
yes, and I'm sure I've come to the right place with the right person.
So you have you left Jamaica a few years
Right.
ago or many years ago? Fill us in.
Well, okay. So I missed that bit of the question. So I am originally born in London, and
Mhm.
at the age of 8, my parents they decided to come back to live in the UK and live in Jamaica. So
Okay.
the born in England, but my formative years, including school, which was, as you know, Calabar High School and other
Yes.
bits, and work as well. That was in Jamaica. So my formative years was in Jamaica. So you cannot get away from the Jamaican lilt. You know, it doesn't matter how English I might sound, you can hear that Jamaican little kick at the end of
Of
the
course.
sentence. So there you go.
So you certainly have a unique accent, that blend of
Well,
English
yes,
and
I
Jamaican.
have a hybrid.
You're a
I have a
hybrid.
hybrid.
Cleon, tell me a little about your early years in Jamaica and how your church experience impacted who you have become today.
Yeah, an interesting one. So I think so. So obviously, the whole church experience has to do with my mom. She found a church. She found a church in over somewhere over some West Kingston somewhere, and it wasn't quite what it should be. And then someone introduced her to the New Testament Church of God, and that was back in 74.
Wow.
And yeah, we came and got involved in Sunday school around about 76, and from Sunday school into youth ministry, and the rest, as they say, is history. You got that once we got the initial taste of youth ministry, especially at Waltham Park. Those were the glory days. Daniel Vassell and all these, and Errol Stewart, and these big hitters, and Angela Jones Allen and Joyce Wallace, and just some great people who were giants in their own rights, and you came in
Mm.
as almost like a midget. I'm sorry, can I use that term? Lord of mercy.
Yes.
I've been moved here. I was incorrect there, but no, you were. I mean, I was, just a small fry in those early days, but lots of aspiration. Spiritual ambition was just high. No one wanted to do mediocre in those days, and lots of innovation, lots of creativity. I remember Daniel, he introduced this thing called Youth Festival, where
Mm.
there was this in-house kind of competition with arts and sports and all those things, and great place to be.
Awesome. I mean, you mentioned that in those days you had many big hitters. My understanding is that you have become a big hitter yourself today. Waltham Park has been known to produce wonderful servants of God who have become great leaders. And I want to use the opportunity to congratulate you on your recent election to the post of Administrative Bishop of England and Wales in the New Testament Church of God. That's just awesome. How do you feel about it, and what burdens you most about it? Let's begin there. What burdens you most about this new appointment?
Well, first of all, thank you, Bishop, for your congratulations. I'm still pinching myself. It's a bit surreal. Um, I know where I started out in terms of the church and in terms of the pastorate. Um, if I can say a little bit about the history, I took on a church that had split, that had absolutely nothing, didn't even have a deacon, not even a Sunday school, and the no money in the bank, overdrawn, and a building that was falling apart. The people were falling apart, and it was just, and the finances were falling apart. But that didn't scare me. I think what was really in the forefront of my mind was, to make a difference. And I think by trying to make a difference, um, a legacy was created. And I guess that people who set out to make a difference always leave a legacy. Whether there's a legacy or not, that's yet to be seen. But stepping into the post of administrative bishop, what worries me, if that was the question, is the
Burden.
fact that
A more
me,
A more Christian word is burden. What
burdens me,
burdens you? Yes.
burdens me. So
Yes.
if I could use a Zoom analogy, we've come on, and there's no camera. We've signed in a different name, and we're on mute. And I say this very humbly. Um, as a church, we've gone quiet. We've gone quiet, and that's no slight on any leader or anything. I think as a whole we've become very quiet. We're not visible for people to see, and our name is not clearly written in the public forum, and that burdens me, because I do feel that our church is a great church and has a lot to say, and there are people doing some amazing things that no one seems to know about.
Wow, that's a tremendous weight on your shoulders as you take on this leadership position, and you're being called upon to give leadership to a denomination in a space that is rapidly changing, and very often a space that is gospel resistant. Um, what is required of leaders as we seek to lead in these changing times?
Wow, there's some huge demands on leaders, Bishop, as you well know.
Mm.
I think the for me, one of the paramount things is transparency. Um, there's we live in a time when there's so much duplicity in people say one thing and live another, um, not wanting to call on any recent situations in the media or in the Grammys, but you know, people who should know better react in ways that bring disrepute, to whatever academy or um, organization you belong to, and I think that people in general feel let down. They feel let down, and there is the need for transparency. So who you see me be on a Sunday is who I am on a Wednesday afternoon. And apart from that, there needs to be this level of integrity so that people will trust that I have no hidden agenda, um, and feel at liberty to follow without these reservations. We have a generation that have, they've voted with their feet, and they're no longer with us. They still love us. They still come to our conventions every now and again for a bit of nostalgia, but they're no longer inspired. The vision, they're not captured in any way by the vision that we're presenting. And so whether we win them back or win a new set of young people, whatever it is, but there needs to be that, as well as other people in the village. I'm not leaving anyone out, but there's a generation, especially those who haven't been churched, who aren't really impressed with us as the church.
Wow. I mean, you have hit the nail on the head in terms of it is of integrity and transparency and character. How do we as leaders though prepare ourselves to be that kind of a person, person of integrity and character, and how do we help to prepare younger persons to walk in our footsteps?
Yeah, well, if you're a male leader, you marry a Sonia or a Marlene, and in other words, make sure you're married to the right person who is not impressed with you, doesn't drink the Kool-Aid, doesn't sort of stroke your ego. You need to have someone in your life who will insist on integrity, accountability. We need accountability, and so if you're not married, then there needs to be someone in your circle who can say to you, "Listen, boss, a foolishness you're going with," and really just bring you down to earth. And that needs to happen. And just having accountability persons in your life. Now it's fine. Yeah, you read your own scriptures, you read the word, but you've got to have those individuals who are not necessarily frightened to come alongside and to say, "Brother, where you are, the grass is growing."
I know that you have been playing quite an important role in helping to mold and future leaders and invest in yourself. Tell us about the leadership program that you've been doing for years, and how do you think it has impacted the next generation of leaders?
Well, yes. So we're in our 10th year. It's the 10th anniversary this year, and I'm just coming out of COVID. We've had to adapt, and it used to be a session that was held in person. We've had to go online, but we've had people from Jamaica join the course, and people up in the Midlands and different places who would never have joined the course are now a part of it. Now it's the engagement face to face was amazing. It was, but we were in different times, and so we've had to adapt. But the response has been absolutely brilliant. Now I don't have a lot to do with it these days. When I said not a lot, I have a team, and they're all graduates of the course who run it at present and are doing a fantastic job. Excuse me, in kind of getting it together. But over the years, we have trained pastors, industry leaders, people who have gone on to acquire mainstream leadership jobs, so that the course isn't just about pastoral leadership or Christian leadership, but leadership in general. And even people who don't work, people, their mothers who have led their homes differently, and had amazing results. There are older persons who have gone back to formal education because it took them on this journey, and they've gone into their local churches and they have made a huge impact. Unfortunately, some have gone back to the churches and realized that it was no longer the place for them, because they realized how stagnant things were before. And I think once you come into contact with a certain type of leadership, you find it hard to be comfortable in a parked bus.
One of the things that you said just now, Claion, that struck me is the fact that you are no longer running the program, which really speaks about your ability to start something and prepare others and to pass it on, and it is now bigger than you and can exist without you, and that for me is a sign of a good leader. Bishop Grandison, as you as you as you look at the landscape, the leadership landscape in the church in the UK, what would you say are some of the best practices that you have seen that are worth emulating and sharing with others?
Best practices. Well, I tell you what, one of the things I've learned over the last few years is, for years I used to say, they say, the question was asked, if your church should leave your community tomorrow, would they miss you? And I, for years, said to myself, of course they will, because we change the atmosphere, because we pray into the atmosphere and we chase out demons, and the moment we leave, the demons would come back in and all that, and I was fooling myself. But I can truly say now, if we extracted my local church from Croydon, there's a nearly 300 people on a weekly basis who would miss the church because we're feeding them, plus the others in terms of food parcels, plus the primary school that we have adopted. And I am now one of the school governors, and the many organizations within the area that have joined forces with us. So, I mean, best practice is becoming more community visible, focused, community focused. That's one of the things that we're big on. We've forged links with the police, with the MPs in our area, because we have been on mute. And now when I speak, we had a civic service, the first of its kind. And, in a meeting, the inspector of police for Croydon got up and said he's never felt that way in the service. He's never, heard anyone speak in that way that made him, that moved him in the way it did. And one of the best practices is this collaborative, without losing our spiritual ethos. Just being proud to come into the public sphere and to make an impact.
Which is now leading me to another question in terms of how do we blend community engagement, the social justice issues? How do we blend that with gospel proclamation and holiness lifestyle? Sometimes people feel that it must be one or the other.
Yeah. And I'm pausing because I want to be careful what I'm saying here.
Sure.
I love to dabble with the prophetic, just like the next person. I love to see the supernatural in play, and someone speaks and it comes to pass, and a lot of things. But I want to, my whole thing about prophetic practice, prophetic preaching, is that we preach in a way that prophetically changes the community or the people around us. In other words, we're not necessarily foretelling, but forthtelling, as you know, the practice is. So what I have done is preached a message that seeks to change the course of the community that I'm a part of, and consistently sharing that message until the narrative changes.
Well, it's clear that for you, having a prophetic presence is more than what you say behind the pulpit. It is certainly what you do outside of the four walls of the church, and the kind of presence that you have as you become public chaplain, and as you seek to be prophet in the name of the Lord. That story about that school has blessed me richly. We're talking with Claion Grandison, and he's now the pastor of the West Croydon New Testament Church of God over there in what section of London? Is it West London, East London, what?
Well, it's Croydon isn't even London. It's Surrey, but it literally borders on southeast London. So it is in the southeast of London.
Southeast of London. Yeah. I'm sure as we wrap up, you're not there alone, and many of the things that you have achieved, it's really because you married up. You married to a wonderful lady by the name of Sonia. Tell us about your family as we wrap this up, Claion.
Yeah, I'm married up. Yes. I happen to end up with the most amazing woman on the entire planet, in the name of Sonia, and nothing that I've achieved could have been done without her. As you know, she has gone through she's come near to death on more than one occasion, and at every juncture she's fought it, and she's fought it, courageously, and she's come back stronger every time. And she's my rock, my absolute rock. And even going forward for this new role, just to know that she is with me 100%, 110% is just, it's such a good thing to know. And I was watching the service on Sunday from my bedroom in Jamaica, and I just watched her just handling the service and being that representative, and her funny self as well as her prophetic self and her worship self, and just to see how the people of our church have embraced her, but not just her, but my children. My son is quite popular there. Seen a few, yeah, but he's quite popular. And Samar, they both have been amazing in this whole transition. Obviously, this new move will affect them, and they've told me straight up how they felt about the move. But as time has progressed, they've come to an understanding that this probably is going to be the best thing. Yeah.
Claion, I'm so happy that you have taken the time to have this conversation with me. And I look forward to talking with you again, especially when you take up your new role. I think that I know that God has led you to this and has anointed you for this. And by his grace, you will make a difference. We did promise that the waters would flow at the well this evening, and certainly they did. And I have been refreshed by what you have shared with us. God bless you, my brother. And I trust that we'll meet again, either on the streets of London or downtown Kingston. God bless you.
God bless you, sir. And yes, look forward to seeing you back in London. The streets of London are calling for you. They're saying, where's that bishop from Jamaica who created waves all those years ago? Look forward to that, and thank you for having me, Bishop.
My pleasure, my brother. God bless you. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining Conversations at the Well. We will meet again next month as we talk to another interesting person, hear their life story, and see what principles they can share with us. God bless you richly.